Thank you so very much for joining us. This is still Enterprise Morning, reaching you from Enterprise Television. Let's head straight to our conversation for today. President Bola Tinubu has pledged that his administration will establish state police to address rising insecurity across Nigeria. He also assured citizens that the promises made before he assumed office in 2023 will be fulfilled. The president made the statement during an interfaith breaking of the fast with state governors at the presidential villa. The gathering marked the period when Muslims observe Ramadan and Christians observe Lent. Tinubu said the season serves as a reminder that Nigerians share common values beyond politics. He praised governors for their humanitarian efforts during the holy season, but urged them to do more for vulnerable citizens. He emphasized the need to support young people who feel neglected, assist struggling families, and invest in grassroots communities where development and hope are limited. Tinubu stressed that the security remains the foundation of national prosperity. According to him, agriculture, businesses, and peaceful family life cannot thrive without a safety. Let's get talking. Emeka Madnago is still here with us. Thank you so very much, Emeka, for being back and hanging on.
Thank you very much.
All right. So, Emeka, let's get talking. We have had more than enough of all of this coming from the president. Every single time he has the opportunity of speaking, he comes up with all of these rhetorics that do not, most of the time, according to some Nigerians, amount to anything. Do you see this as another rhetoric coming from President Bola Tinubu to appease to people who are standing on the mandate at this point and hopefully giving them some bit of hope that Nigerians are yet to see?
Well, thank you very much. The president, of course, yes, we know that the state police is one of the things we need now to improve security. But I want to tell you that there are also concerns about state police, that governors, these are governors who cannot pay pensions. There are many states that can't pay pensions. About 17 states are not enrolled in the compulsory contributory pension scheme. Then there are states that are not paying the current minimum wage of 70,000 naira. There are states that have not paid counterpart funding for universal basic education. Now, is it those states you are going to help to get state police? I hope you know, if you don't pay school teachers or pension, they can go on strike. Like you had the joint health sector unions that went on strike, since November. They just resumed. But let me tell you, when you give weapons to people to risk their lives and you don't pay them, look, you are going to see what mayhem looks like. So President Bola Tinubu is well advised to think very deeply about this matter. Because these are the same governors, when the federal government removed, the deduction of funds from the, when they saw deduction of funds from the federation account for subsidy, for fuel subsidy, of course the governors got more money. The funding of the petroleum sector, which had been in a jeopardy for many years, it now fell on the ordinary people. And that's why price of petroleum products have been going up. Yes, that is why they all went up, because the simple truth was that there was nothing like subsidy. States were just being forced, to devote funds to this anomaly, instead of setting the sector aright, instead of making the sector more, more responsive, to economic needs. What you did was just, you stopped this, and then they got more funds. You now went telling people, ask your governors, make your governors accountable. They have more funds. No, these were funds that belong to the states and local governments originally. So it's not as if you are doing them a favor. You are not doing them a favor at all. Now, because of the reduction in their allocations, states had to go on a borrowing spree. Over the years, states had to go on a borrowing spree, borrowing to pay salaries, borrowing to pay pensions, borrowing to do, carry out projects and all of that. So, what's the point now trying to add an additional body, to bring an additional body? Do you know that states are the ones, when you see police vehicles on the road, most of those vehicles, are donated by states. Many states and communities, local governments have built police stations, equipped police stations. Yes. Private sector, the private sector players have donated things like solar equipment to police stations. But it's still not enough. Now, if you want to now create state police, do they have, how many states have the capacity to fund state police? Look at the power sector. The Power Sector Reform Act, the Enhanced Power Sector Reform Act, now gives states oversight of generation and distribution. It's only about 5 states that have the capacity to handle such. It's only about 5 states. They don't have the financial capacity. They don't have the technical capacity. They don't. So what you're doing, yes, I'm a proponent of taking governance to the grassroots, but it should not be at the expense of proper governance. We must get our facts right. We must get things right, before we hand over responsibilities to the state, because all these governors are not living up to expectation. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Emeka, that you actually made this very clear. And it's looking every single day as if these criminals are becoming healthier economically and weaponry with more than Nigerians, the budget that's been given to forces. I remember very many years ago, the likes of Anini, Isombo, and many other people who were criminals were dealt with, and they served as examples for people who wanted to get into such kinds of criminal acts. But today, insurgents and criminals are de-radicalized. What's your take on this? Do you think the problem is the political will that is not available to solve the problems that we have, or is it because we really do not have the wherewithal to make that possible financially?
Let me tell you, the military rule severely weakened the firepower of the Nigerian Federation. Because the rapid retirements, even under democratic rule, you see rapid retirement. You spend so much, Nigeria spends so much, billions, training officers, and for reasons of political expediency, because the president is from a particular part of the country and he wants his own person there, they retire capable people in the police, in immigration, in customs, in the military. They retire capable people. And so you now see officers who are not even, who are still learning the ropes on their ranks. You now give them higher ranks. How would they be able to cope? Look at what President Tinubu did some months ago, where he elevated his ADC, who was the lieutenant colonel at the time Tinubu became president in 2023. You quickly promoted him to colonel and quickly promoted him to brigadier general. How do you do things like that? How do you do this? He said he's a national security advisor who wrote a letter to the military. What kind of rubbish is that? That's nonsense. You're just distorting the proper functioning of the Nigerian military. And that's why you have problems. They are talking of bringing back retired military personnel to come. When you were retiring them for reasons of political expediency, didn't you know? And that is where the problem is. Look at when Obasanjo came in as president in 1999. Look at the core of officers he retired for fear that they might overthrow him. But those people were well trained. So these people, had seen war in Liberia, in Sierra Leone, in different places. They have seen action across the world. Well trained. But Obasanjo just retired, even down to colonel, I think even lieutenant colonel, retired so many people. And then, look at since then, you just hear 100 generals retired. Who is going to replace them? To even get people into the military now, recruits, is difficult. Into the military and the police, it's difficult. But you have retired people who gave their all. You know, people who devoted their life to serving the country. You know, now you are sweeping through the military again. You say because of a coup plot. So, look, you see, there's no seriousness on the part of the leadership of this country to solve insecurity. Because by all these retirements and all these things, deny people promotion, their proper promotion. Look at the Inspector General of Police. He's supposed to have retired since 2024, but you now kept him there till 2027. Do you know what it means for the lower levels? You know what it means for the lower levels. You know, then look at the military. How people have been retired officers. You know, before they settle down, you retired them. Before they settle down, you retired them. So these things will not help. Let me tell you, we're going to bring ordinary ragtag vigilante groups to come and handle the security. We're going to do security in the states. Yes, it will get to a certain extent, but look, in the Northwest, for instance, especially in the North, you are dealing with battle-tested terrorists. People, you know, coming from GNIM, Lakurawa, and their, you know, various affiliates, Boko Haram, SWAP. Many of these fighters have been involved in various theaters across the world, not just in West Africa. So these people are not just ragtag terrorists. They have different formations. So what you need to do is to make sure, if you are going to bring back some of those people you retired, bring them back. Yeah, because they are, I mean, they are on standby. Bring them back.
Bring them back to do what exactly? What responsibility would they be fulfilling at this point?
No, of course. No. There are responsibilities they can carry out. They are reservists now. They are on reserve. After all, even Israel. Yeah. Israel has reservists.
Yeah, very true.
Israel has reservists. The United States, many countries have reservists. So if there's a serious war, if there's a serious problem, you bring these people. And they will give you, they will tell you how, for instance, they were able to. You can even relate with former, you know, senior military officers who were there when my Tatsine was dealt with. We've had all these eruptions here and there, but this time is unfortunate. It's the most serious. So they can give you advice. They can tell you what to do. Look at sometime last year, CBN governor Olayemi Kadoso. He called a meeting of former governors of Central Bank of Nigeria. He met with them and he asked them, "How can I do that?" And you can see that the guy, at least of all Tinubu's appointees, is one of those who is really performing. He's one of those really trying very hard, you know, to balance things. You know, and you can see the foreign reserves have risen. So he's been able to now use those foreign reserves to prevent any scarcity of you know, foreign currency and, you know, scarcity of forex. So it's the same thing. Call your predecessors, sit down with them, ask them to tell you what areas that you can apply the resources you have to deal with insecurity. It's very clear. A former Inspector General of Police, MD Abubakar, there was a time he said, you know, that 70% of the crimes in Nigeria are driven by socio-economic factors. And it's true. These terrorists come from other countries. They come with money. And they entice the local population that is poor, has been battered by poverty. Then, of course, they take over farms. They take over fishing ponds. You know, they take over fishing routes. And the people have no, you know, the people have no option but to obey them. I haven't read something very horrendous, very shocking. There is some parts of the north that you know, a terrorist will just walk into somebody's house, tell the man of the house that he needs his daughter or he needs his wife. Just take the woman somewhere, violate the woman, and then send her back. That these are among the horrendous things happening in the north. Is it? Will you stop these things with state police? The answer is no. The answer is no. President Tinubu, I don't believe.
Right, I think we lost Emeka at this point, and what he was saying was actually very poignant at this point, because we do not know why all of this had been allowed to happen in a democratic system where the government has all that it needs to ensure that this is nipped in the bud. The military is budgeted for. They have more than enough weaponry. They have the responsibility and, of course, the reasons to engage in a full-length war against insurgents and terrorists and criminals. But a situation where that is deliberately not allowed to happen is where we do not understand. The question I wanted to ask Emeka was why it is becoming more normal. We normalize the radicalization of insurgents rather than deal with them and ensure that it does not repeat itself. Emeka, are you back with us? All right, I think the network is giving us a bit of a problem there. Okay. All right, Emeka, are you still
there? Yes, I can hear you. So
yes, all right.
What I'm saying is that President Tinubu should be very careful. The kind of prescriptions he applies at this time, because things are so fragile right now. Yes, we need to deal with insecurity. But for long, some of us have been saying that let's call on our foreign partners to help us. But you now see the same hypocrites who have been making money from insecurity telling you about sovereignty. With sovereignty, your sovereignty has been totally bastardized by these people. So this is not the time for you to be grandstanding about sovereignty. If you're ready to grandstand, then pick up a gun, put on a uniform and go to the battlefield. Look at just yesterday, a general officer commanding, was ambushed by these terrorists. But thankfully, the troops on this convoy repelled this attack. So that tells you that, look, these people are ready to take on anybody. Look at what they did with Brigadier General Oba, the other day. So it is not just about gathering vigilantes and gathering some people saying they are state police. No, I don't think President Tinubu has altruistic motives for bringing in state police at this time. I don't think so. Thank you.
Very well said. But let's take a look at other matters. During Muhammad Buhari, he called it de-radicalization. And with President Bola Tinubu, the CDS is calling it controlled rehabilitation. Both are semantics that look the same. Does that show that the government of Muhammad Buhari, which has transitioned, given the baton to Tinubu at this point, are interested in ending this, or are they playing political games with us, especially at a time like this, that President Bola Tinubu, who is desiring to make sure he comes back come 2027, and he needs the vote of the Northern Bloc a lot. What's your take on this? Would we ever have an end to all of this criminal shenanigans happening in Nigeria and some form of complicity of those in governance?
Let me tell you, first of all, it is clear that there are people in government who are making money from this insecurity. It has been one of the problems, funds for troops disappearing, weapons, equipment being, sold to terrorists. Coming to, what you said earlier, yes, they said that they got to a point where they decided to use the non-kinetic approach, to solving insecurity, which is appeasement, pay ransoms. Like just yesterday, imagine that the Tinubu administration paid 2 billion to the kidnappers of the pupils of St. Mary's School, in Niger State. Thereafter, they still struck. So you cannot appease terrorists. The only language terrorists understand is violence. Wipe them out. That's the only language they understand. You can't appease these people. You can't appease terrorists. You can't. There's nothing called repentant terrorists, because even soldiers on the battlefield have said that it is these so-called repentant terrorists who are the cog in the wheel. Cameroon was the first to start this reintegration program. What? Yes, aided by the United States. And there were strict methods by which they were doing these things. But of course, Nigeria, with the corruption and cronyism in the system. In fact, there are insinuations that it's governors. Governors are the ones recommending these people for, recommending the people that should go for the integration. And then when it's time for recruitment into the military, that some governors have nominated such people, to be recruited into the military. So this is self-sabotage. This is self-sabotage. Because the governors feel that no problem. If they strike too much, we'll go and give them money. We'll strike a deal with them. But you are dealing with evil, terrible people. These guys can never change. So the best thing is sit down with the United States, sit down with the European Union, and decide, look, we want these guys wiped out. They know what to do. You can go and sit down with a nation like Algeria that fought an insurgency, for years till it combated, I think from 1998 to 2000, combated insurgency. Sit down with a nation like Sri Lanka, a nation like Colombia. Look at what happened in Mexico yesterday after the killing of the cartel leader I mentioned. What is the Mexican army? They did not wait for US, even though US should help them in the killing of that criminal. But of course, yes, you saw his cartel members as they went about, destroying various public infrastructure. But of course, you saw the Mexican government, rallied round and gave it back to them, cleared many of them. The other day, the president of El Salvador, I don't remember his name, was saying that nobody can convince him that criminals can overwhelm a government, a sitting government. He said it's not possible. That unless that government is not ready to overcome insecurity. He said what he did was containment. He built prisons and then put these criminals in cages. So when they stay in those cages, when you are contained, of course, a lot of they'll be more interested in, staying alive than continuing with criminality, because they are not even assured of when they will come out. Their relatives don't visit them. The most dangerous are put in such conditions that, look, they cannot, cause any problem. And remember, El Salvador had one of the world's worst rates of gang violence. One of the worst rates of gang violence in the world. But the current president, when he came in, he wiped out everything, even though people were shouting, no, human rights and all that. He asked them recently, he said, is the society not safer? The society is safer. So that leaders, of various countries should step up actions to deal with insecurity. You don't appease terrorists. What you do, you contain and you destroy them. Destroy their bases, destroy their supply. Now, look at the U.S. sent, his Assistant Secretary of State for Counterterrorism, Jonathan Buck. He was in Nigeria yesterday and today. And of course, you saw the report from the U.S. State Department's Counterterrorism Bureau, where he said that it identified that ISWA, Boko Haram, and Fulani militants want to establish an Islamic caliphate in Nigeria. That there's nothing like header-farmer clash, that it is clear. It is that objective of establishing an Islamic caliphate in Nigeria that is behind all this violence. And when the US has said that, remember yesterday, US Congress members submitted, the panel on Christian genocide in Nigeria, they submitted a report to Donald Trump. So all these suppose that very definite actions are going to be taken because it's beyond Nigeria. So no problem, Nigerian government can keep pussyfooting, but the US will deal with the Sahel. The Sahel stretches all the way, I think, from Mauritania to Eritrea. So those ungoverned spaces, the US government is going to really pound those ungoverned spaces. Pound them very well. Pound them very, very well. Pound them very, very seriously. So when you cut off the supply of these terrorists, and then when you now look at 8 Nigerians now were designated as terrorist funders, their funds have been cut off. When you do this, when you expand it, cut off funding for these terrorists, cut off their supply of weapons, cut off their supply of fighters, of course, the insecurity will collapse. It's just a matter of time. Just a matter of time. Thank you.
Yes, it's just a matter of time. We truly do hope that the present-day administration under President Bola Tinubu would actually work in tandem with Western friends to ensure that this is nipped in the bud. But of course, how would that even be possible when we are more fixated on playing politics than allowing for good governance, which is the most important thing? The El Salvador example you gave is a very honest one. It used to be a country that was littered with criminalities of all sorts. But today, tourism had returned back to El Salvador under the president. And one would ask, why wouldn't we have the same in Nigeria? Well, let's just see how this goes. And we believe things will be well. Thank you so very much, Emeka, for your time. Truly do appreciate you. That's our time for today.
Thank you very much.
Yes, it's a pleasure. That's our time for today. We'd love to say thank you for making this a day. Please do well to be with us. If you may, you can do that by visiting our site at enterprisetvnews.com. Equally, log on to our social media platforms to see what we have going on right there. That is when you visit us at Enterprise TV7. I am Henry Kwebiki. Have yourself a splendid day. God bless you. God bless Nigeria. And we'll see you on another episode. Have yourself a splendid day. Bye-bye.